Hey guys, just another quick recap video about Wednesday night. So the group started off still split. In one group we had Soren, Tulio, Gesh, and Sharth, the little deep gnome that we found before heading down into these tunnels. And then the other group was Miguel, Cooper, Akerth, and Dramira. And I believe that was everyone. Oh, and possibly the fighter, if he's going to continue playing with us, not really sure. Anyway, so the two groups were still separated. Kept looking around. We're finding very similar style rooms. Rooms that had jars with brains in it. Rooms that had shackles with bodies that had holes in their head or not. Tortured-looking devices to us, but they were probably more for surgical means of the illithid or something along those lines, because they had kind of some weird. I think Akerth did a investigation on them and found that the handles weren't really meant for our hands. So my guess is like the tentacles wrapping around it, doing that, cutting. Anyway, so yeah, we were split, and we were just looking around finding similar style rooms. The ground would shake a little bit, and we'd find out that the exits and entrances were changed and things like that. So this handy little decoder ring room that we were still in, or not room, but dungeon, whatever, was still moving, and it's still causing us some issues finding our way out. Both groups found something at one point. My group found some chittering down a hallway in the next room. And of course, Soren's like, well, I'm not going to get caught on one side of the wall again, and ran ahead and turned the corner and found found a swarm of rats. Upon looking at them a little bit closer, they were a swarm of cranium rats. For Soren, he doesn't know what that means. He just knows that they are rats that have their brains slightly exposed and glowing. And they swarmed all over him, but the group, my part of the group, was able to dispose of them easily enough without hitting Soren or anything like that, and we were able to move on from there. Miguel and Cooper and Dramira and Akerth, however, had a little bit more difficulty. They found a body, looked like it was walking out towards an area, and that body was kind of twitching, moving around a little bit, looked like it was trying to stand up. And while unnerving, Miguel decided to proceed to look and investigate. And as he did so, a brain popped out of it with hands and feet. This is a creature called an intellect devourer, and what it does is it robs you of your intellect score. So now we had a brain-dead Miguel. And a brain-dead character of any sort just doesn't do anything. So we had Cooper and Akerth and Dramira took care of the intellect devourer fairly handily because it's just a brain. And then they had to deal with carrying Miguel around. Cooper had a lot of fun with this. He was using him as kind of puppeteering him with his survival checks, looking around for footprints and things like that, and kind of holding his head up and being like, "Does that look like it, Miguel? Yes, it does. Okay, that's the way we go." And moving on. It was quite entertaining to watch him do that. And it was fitting that it was Miguel, because he was our online player today. We didn't have him with us, so he was Skyping in, And we can do that now because we're at Anthony's house and our DM's house, and that's nice that we can actually do that when someone can't show up and just for whatever reason, and they can Skype in. So back to it. More traveling, more looking around for each other, for whatever it is that we're trying to find. And then the shift happens again. The second group found us, and then the shift happened. So we were all caught up together and kind of trying to figure out what to do about Miguel. My 5 points of healing hands didn't do anything to him. No one had a greater restoration spell ability, so we were just going to drag him along with us some more. But then our Dragonborn Gesh and his lovely little hand gem decided to take a look. After patting his head and rubbing his belly with said hand, he eventually was able to transfer 7 intellect points from himself to Miguel. Now, he's a barbarian. Most people are like, oh my gosh, you can't lose that many with a barbarian. But this barbarian happens to be wearing a headband of intellect. So his current intellect is 19. The headband does not allow you to go below 19. So if he ever takes off that headband of intellect, he'll be as dumb as a box of rocks. Still not completely devoid of any brain activity, but he'll be pretty dumb. So I think the headband of intellect has found its permanent new home with Gesh, which is, I think, awesome that we have the smartest person in the group, a barbarian. Oh well. Anyway, so yeah, that happened to work. The glove was is still kind of a unique thing that none of us really know what happens with it. I think the powers that it has might not be really limited. It might just be do good things, get good things. We'll see. We'll see what the limit is that Anthony has on that. Because I have a feeling that this item might be just purely, hey, it's going to kick butt whenever you need it to kick butt, as long as you're doing it for good. Maybe not. Might be wrong. We'll see. Anyway, so let me see where we're. The group is together again, and now Miguel is somewhat intelligent. Not completely, but not horribly done in. All he knows is he wants to sleep. He wanted to take a long rest, but the group was like, we don't want to be in this dungeon any longer. These instruments and there's things in here. Staying in here could be very dangerous. So we proceeded to try and get out of this little decoder ring dungeon. We found our way back to where they fought the intellect devour and kind of shoved everyone into that hallway. After some inspection, we had found the hallway definitely led another point outward from the center, and that's where, and we dropped into the center to start with, so that we figured the progression was to move out. Soren and Tulio shoved everyone in the hallway and kind of took point on the other side, just to make sure that while we kind of rested, that no one got hurt. We just sat there and meditated. We were in there for about a half an hour before the clockworks had changed enough for us to have an opening to run through. It was about a half an hour, and normally a short rest is about an hour. Our DM was nice enough to grant us, as he called it, a Matthew Mercer short rest. As for those of you who aren't familiar, the show Critical Role They typically do a half hour to an hour for their short rests, and I mean that's fine. It's not a big deal. It's just another way to do it, right? So we got the benefit of a short rest, which was very helpful because when we walked through, we were no longer in Kansas. And what I mean by that is, while we've been down here, everything's been this roughly carved out stone, rough hewn stone, as they say. And we walked through into this very polished area. This is quite possibly what we've been looking for, and quite possibly a death trap. We'll see. In the center of this room is a basin that has a glow emanating from it, much like the glow from the cranium rats that Soren, Tulio, Gesh, and Sharth fought. The basin is set in there, so from our distance we can't really see what's in there. On the other side of the basin, because the basin's in the center of the room, on the other side are some more Grimlocks. And these are the big I'm hungry guys that we've been fighting around this area for a little while. And I believe there were a lot of them. But they're all kind of focused on swatting at, as far as we could see, nothing. What that means, I mean, there's plenty of things that can mean. That can mean that inside that basin is what's left of an Elder Brain, and it is completely screwed with every single one of the Grimlocks that are there. And so they think they're seeing something that they're swatting at. It could mean that that these guys are just dumb in general, and so the minute we say something, they're going to turn and look at us and be like, "Oh, food, let's go eat." You know, who knows? There are several ways that could go, and that's where we are. That's where we ended. So as I had said, yeah, we were probably going to still be a little distracted because, one, this is our first time having someone on Skype. Two, this is our first time being in an actual house instead of the game store. So while it was quieter, we were still apt to distract each other and keep from really playing a whole lot. And plus, we're also ending a little earlier because it's in someone's house. That someone has kids, family. Can't keep everyone up till late at night, which actually works for us. It'll be nice to not always be going to bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning after driving home. It'll be nice that that now that we've had a game here under our belts and we aren't going to have anyone Skyping in, we might actually be able to really start progressing, and not just the story. I think that's kind of one of the things that's always hard to get in with groups that start off in a game store, is when is the right time to RP? When is it the right time to do the battles? When is it the right time to push forward and do this and do that? And I think we have a hard time with that right now, especially because we are trying to just get to level 12 and get to this this cube up in the Draconid area. And people want to get to the point where, hey, we want to find out if there's a spaceship so we can go into space. There's a big push for that. In order to do that, we have to push through story and push and push and push. And so the RP will get left behind. But if that's what the group wants, that's what we're going to do. I know that there are points of story of what's been happening to Tulio that I know, at least I want to know. My character wants to know. I'm sure other people want to know. we still have to really get to some of the RP with Miguel and find out, hey, what? So you're lost. You've lost a pinky. You have a gun. What does this mean for you? Still, I know Soren still has tons of backstory stuff to drop if that's ever wanted. I'm sure Agarth has more, because all we know is that entertainers traveling up and down the Sword Coast, right? And I'm sure there's more. There's more to Dramira that we don't really know, because, well, we haven't really talked to Dramira yet. We haven't really gotten to know who Dramira is, where Dramira comes from, and all of that. And now we have this deep gnome. This deep gnome who's perfectly willing to run around with people that killed all of his friends and help them doing whatever they're doing. Is it just survival, or is there more to this deep gnome that we don't know? So all sorts of fantastic story stuff that we can do if we choose to stop pushing. I personally like either or, but we'll see. I think we're going to probably want to get into more of that ourselves and find ways to do it ourselves now that we have a house to do it in. And I think we'll start to get something that could be really good for later. Maybe not in our 1 to 20 right now, but maybe later on down the line. We jazz the space up, have a few cameras, and maybe we're no longer worrying about Gavari Games and we're doing something with Anthony's GM deal. And I think that would be pretty cool. Anyway, those are just the random thoughts that are going through my head after after all the explanation of what's going on. Anyway, thought I'd try out the new style of video where it's more of a close-up of my face, less of everything that's behind me. Let me know what you guys think, if you like this style better, or if your preference was me sitting down with the notes in front of me and reading off. Anyway, later.